Tomazzi Entertainment.
Hello everybody, it's D-Labs, and I'm here to do a review and a little bit of info on Frighteners, Peter Jackson classic. Well, it all starts with Peter Jackson. He used his own company called Weta Digital to create all the visual and practical effects using computer-generated imagery. Visual effects supervisor Richard Taylor explained that the effects on the Frighteners were very complex due to Weta's inexperience with computer technology in the mid-90s. With so many ghosts among its cast, Frighteners required more digital shots than any movie made at that time. For a special effects company that had been in existence less than 3 years, 18 months prior to completing Frighteners was largely stressful. Actors' interaction had to be filmed twice, once with a human character acting on the set, then with the ghost character acting against a blue screen. The two elements would later be digitally composed into one shot using a split-screen photography. These sequences require perfect timing from the cast, as they trade dialogue with characters that are merely blank air. And as you can see from my special effects award-winning review of Class of 1999, I know how hard it is to deal with green screen bullshit. Okay, enough of the technical side. Do you guys want to hear something really funny? Check this out.
The Frighteners, and it happened a couple of times, was when Michael forgot what film he was in.
The judge, and I was supposed to call out to him, and I just kept saying Doc from Back to the Future. It was like some weird out-of-body thing.
Go cook in the Pony Express, huh, Doc? Whoa! I called him Doc. It's fucking back.
I just go, Doc, I'm Judge. Shit.
Hey, boys! Break up! Doc!
Doc, I did it again.
Peter Jackson tries to make the mood on the set very happy and keep the whole thing very enjoyable during filming.
Perspectives of Dammers and like close-ups of the eyes and close-ups of the mouth. And
Michael went off, and so I lost it on that, so he had to take a walk, and I could even hear him on the soundstage sort of muffling a laugh. But what about the guy in the toilet?
It wasn't me this time.
We know you didn't like her.
Well, I just thought that stuff was interesting and I wanted to show it to you, but now let's start with the reviews. Frighteners is a horror comedy about this individual named Frank Bannister that can see ghosts, and he kind of used this to con people. And at the beginning of the film, you see him kind of scam a few people, but that's more of a side plot. The real story of this movie is a murder mystery. And that's the exact reason why I like this movie, because it has a good mystery and a good twist at the end. And it has some slick and really impressive special effects. But this always pissed me off about the movie is how fucking blue all the ghosts look. And also, you made the ghosts like too funny and nice, so when the Grim Reaper shows up, you don't fear him. You don't really care that he's on the screen. He looks cool. I really felt like the first time you saw him, it should have been more frightening, but it just wasn't. But what kind of makes up for all that is the backstory of the Grim Reaper. I wish they focused more on this story element, the massacre that happened a long time ago. I found that way more interesting than the weird comedy the movie has. It's kind of like a slapstick comedy. I can't really place it. I don't know, I guess that's British humor, but I didn't really get it. It kind of went over my head. The closest thing I can compare it to is Benny Hill. I used to watch Benny Hill when I was a kid with my dad. It has the same comedy style. So let's talk a little bit about the acting. I think Michael J. Fox does a really good job in the film. I don't like his two sidekick ghosts. I think those actors suck. They're annoying. And I never really cared too much about what happened to them. Now, one other actor I gotta shout out is Jake Busey. He is a very talented and freaky looking dude. Like after he made The Frighteners, he was in Twister, Contact, Starship Troopers, Enemy of the State, Tomcats. He was in a couple of other big movies, but he wasn't ever the star of anything, and he kind of disappeared in 2004. One last thing I'd like to mention before I rate this is the ending. The last half an hour of the film is perfect. The main reason why I think this is because it takes itself more serious at the end. It really becomes like a horror thriller. It's how I think the entire film should have been. So overall, this is a good movie. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Beetlejuice, but I think Beetlejuice is a little bit better. So I'm going to rate this a 7 out of 10. I would have rated it a little higher if the comedy wasn't so, slapstick. But the last half an hour of the movie and the backstory of the Grim Reaper makes up for all the comedy that I think misses a little bit. Alright everybody, that's what I think of Frighteners, but please stick around. My good buddy Redneck would like to say what he thinks.
Howdy folks, Redneck Gamer here, and D-Labs has asked me to give my 2 cents on the Frighteners movie. So here I go. Firstly, it should be known that this film is not entirely a horror movie. I mean, technically it is, and it could definitely be filed under horror, but it's more of a comedy. That's not entirely unheard of for horror movies. There are films like Jack Frost, the film about the serial killer snowman, and of course, the Leprechaun films. These movies tend to have more comedic elements than they do horror elements, and sometimes comedy works to a horror movie's advantage, though it should come to no surprise to y'all that the guy that made this film, Peter Jackson, also made the comedy horror films Bad Taste and Dead Alive, both horror films that had more of a comedic touch. Anyway, I like The Frighteners a lot. It's a damn good movie. It's funny, the special effects for the time were pretty damn good, and it's got one of my all-time favorite actors, Michael J. Fox, in it. Each one of the ghosts are also unique in their own way, especially Judge. I also like the plot. Like, imagine the Monty Python guys telling a ghost story, and that would be The Frighteners. In saying that, I should mention that the humor in this film is very British, which I don't know whether to find that surprising or not, seeing as that Peter Jackson is from New Zealand. Anyway, the movie has 3 antagonists. The main one is the Grim Reaper, whom has a twist at the final act of the movie. And then there's this FBI agent named Milton Dammers, whom happens to be mentally unstable, and I'm not going to give away who the 3rd antagonist is. Let's just say the final act of Frighteners is one big twist. Michael J. Fox did an excellent job portraying the character of Frank Bannister. Now, I'm not going to say that his character is like Marty McFly from the Back to the Future films, because, well, he's not. His character is more along the lines of a reluctant hero type. He's friends with a few ghosts that help him run a ghost-busting type of business, though everyone in the town thinks he's a fraud. And in a sense, he is. Frank gets his ghoul buddies to go haunt somebody's house only for him to conveniently show up to deal with the problem. Though, in all honesty, he's doing it all for a reason. He's a widower who's living in a house that he designed, and it's not fully constructed yet. And he's got bills to pay and a mouth to feed, and he's barely getting by. In other words, Frank is living by the seat of his britches, pretty much. And he's doing all he can do to survive. Another thing that I liked about this movie is that it has Arlie Ermey playing a bit part as a drill sergeant ghost. God, I love that guy. Anyway, I would say Frighteners is a really good film. It's not exactly scary, but what it lacks in scares, it makes up for in funniness. So I'm going to give this film an E for excellent. It's that good of a film. It's also a nice little popcorn movie. It's one of those films that you can watch and over enough times to where it won't even get boring or stale. Well, that's my verdict on this movie, and I really appreciate Dylan letting me give my opinions on it. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you very much, Redneck, for that awesome review, and I appreciate you helping me on this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up, a comment below, and let me know what you think. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I'm glad everybody enjoyed. Have yourself a great day.